So I'm going to do a quick and dirty iPhone video real quick about how I start up my oxygen compressor. So I actually already started the system, but I'll just show exactly what I do to get it running. You really shouldn't smoke around the open oxygen. Okay, so the first thing I do is I have my oxygen concentrator here. This is my 5 liter per minute DeVilbiss oxygen concentrator, and I use my poke and stick here, and I turn the switch on. Yeah, I know I should have a switch for it, but I don't. This is my invacare oxygen concentrator. I don't need to run that one. That's also a 5 liter per minute, but we don't need to run that one, so that one's not turned on, and the valve is actually shut off. And you're gonna go all the way up here to this. Let's see here. Let me use a stick. I'm gonna use a stick here. So that oxygen concentrator leads up to this T. I open this valve. Which runs to my torches. My torch is open right now. That torch is open and it's flowing oxygen. You can see that it's flowing oxygen right there. Okay, now that's running up to the oxygen compressor. And you can see there's a little red, the little yellow light there that says that it's not getting pure enough oxygen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to this valve there, and I'm going to kind of just crack that valve a little bit. Leave this valve open. This valve goes to the torches. Oh, there it goes. Now I'm going to shut this valve. I'm going to shut this valve all the way. The tank valves are closed, okay? And this regulator is backed all the way off, so there's no pressure coming from here. And I'm going to leave this valve open because I'm going to use my torches. So now it's compressing oxygen. The purge valve is now closed. This is a purge valve. That valve is now closed, and it's compressing oxygen. You can see it's going up on the scale here. Now you just have to wait. I'm gonna let the video run, but I'm actually gonna edit out the about 5 minutes that it takes for it to charge. So what it's doing right now is it's charging this whip hose. All it's doing is charging the whip hose up to the regulator, okay? And then remember, this regulator's backed off. There's no pressure leaving the system right now. So all it's doing is charging this hose. And that's important for what we're going to do next, which is open this valve. Okay, you can see on this gauge. Somehow or another, these gauges are no longer co-witnessed. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I have another video on how I adjusted this gauge to match this gauge, which this gauge is correct. This Harris gauge was correct. This one was not, and I think the reason that this gauge was not correct is because this particular setup came from the high mountains in Washington State, and I'm at sea level here, so I think that's why that was like that. All right, so we're just going to let that crank away. And you can see it actually charges the line relatively quickly. But what it doesn't do is fill this bottle relatively quickly. So this bottle is, I don't know what this is a 200 and, I think this is a 250 cubic foot tank. It could be a 350, it could be a 250. I forget exactly what it is, but it's charged, this tank is charged to 2000 PSI. When you get it, actually, when you get these tanks, this is an actual oxygen tank. When you get these oxygen tanks from my supplier, they're actually charged at 230 or 2300 PSI. This machine only pumps to 2000. Now, all the stuff I've read on all the forums that I've gone to that are associated with this system says don't charge your tanks above 2000, or don't charge your tanks to 2000 PSI. The problem with that is if you don't charge the tank to 2000 PSI, the system I have going here will not create enough oxygen over the next 24 hours to work. It just doesn't. I have to charge them to 2,000. If the seals blow in the compressor, which is what I hear or what I'm told, then I'll just replace the seals in the compressor. I'm a pretty handy guy. The machine is designed to pump to 2,000 psi. I don't understand why you wouldn't want it to pump to 2,000 psi. The other thing is I keep a log of what I'm using. So I filled my propane tank on 8:30, and my oxygen tank, you can see here, this is all the numbers that I have. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that it was 1900 at 11 a.m. on the 2nd. Now I gotta keep an eye on this because it can get out of hand. It can get away from you really quick, like it is. Okay, so it's already up to 1700 psi. Now that's just charging this hose. And why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that because if I just open this valve with no pressure in this system here, it'll stall the compressor. Absolutely will stall the compressor. We don't want to do that. We're tricking the compressor into thinking that it's just pumping up to this. Okay, so we're right there already. Now I'm going to crack this valve open and it should drop down a little bit. There we go. Oh, actually went up a little. Okay. That's it. That's as quick as I could get it to go. Now, the next thing that needs to be really stressed is these tanks, this one tank, just ignore that tank. This tank takes a good 36 hours to fill to 2,000 psi. It takes every bit of 36 hours to fill that tank using that compressor. So think about that when you're planning to do a heavy day of work.